Hey Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. You would have seen a bunch of reviews for the O11 EVO already come out from a whole bunch of other channels. We're a little bit late to the punch this time because we had another really massive project that we've been working on for about a week and a bit, and it took up too much time, so we didn't get a chance to review it when the case released. So instead of us doing our usual full deep dive review, I decided to just do a build and test the thermals just so you guys can see what this case is like in the default configuration and the way that most people use it, because a lot of the stuff I've seen people have done all of the strange orientations, and I was like, I want to know what it's like in this configuration, because all of the accessories and everything you buy for the case are additional and you might not be able to get them straight off the bat. So if you buy just the case, this is most likely what you'll be looking at for a configuration if you're not using an air cooler. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. As usual with these builds, they're designed to inspire you guys to build beautiful PCs of your own. So without further ado, let's jump in and see how this icy white build came together. Let's do it. All right, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed seeing this PC come together. At the time of us filming this part of the video, we don't know what we're calling it yet, so I won't refer to it as anything. Claire will come up with a cool name, but let's take a look at the thermals in this configuration. As you can see on your screen right now, the thermals aren't too bad at all. Actually, a bit better than I'd expected, but much like the original O11 Dynamic, that also had pretty good thermals too. So no surprises that this also performs quite well. Not much more to add to that, considering you know how this is going to perform in this configuration. All right, let's chat about some of the parts that I use in this build. The CPU is the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X. We put the 5900X on the Asus ROG STRIX B550A Gaming. To cool the 5900X, we use the NZXT Kraken Z73 in white. It's a new white version of the cooler. I don't even know if they're selling these, but they sent this to us a while ago and I was like, yeah, let's use it for this. And so, yeah, I did, right? Cool. The RAM is 32 gigs of Team Group ARGB XTREEM in white. This is basically the white kit that I always use for these whited out builds, right? The GPU is the ROG STRIX RTX 3080 Gundam Edition in white, because I think the Gundam Edition is only white. I don't know. I just use this because it's what I had in white. It's the only white GPU I've got. The cable extensions are custom white and silver cable extensions from Cable Mod, made to spec. There's also a bunch of lian-li AL120 fans. I think there is 10 in total. Yep, I can count today. There's 10 in total. And the rest of the parts, I'll put it in a PC part picker list down below so you guys can peruse that list at your discretion or leisure. Wow, discretion sounds so negative, right? It's such a negative sounding word, discretion, at your discretion. Anyways, let's talk about the O11 EVO from lian-li. Now, I'm actually going to go back and fully review this when I actually get a break and have some time to myself, which I just haven't had lately. But I did want to build and give you guys some initial thoughts with building in this case. So obviously we didn't do any wacky configurations. We do have all of the other accessories to do all those wacky configurations, but they're all the black versions of it. And because, you know, it's the holiday season and we always do white PC builds for the end of the year, I decided, yeah, we'll do a white one and we'll come back and review the O11 EVO in the new year with proper in-depth stuff in every configuration you can possibly want to know about. We'll do all of it, just not right now. We're trying to wind down a little bit for the year. So building in the O11 EVO is better than the original O11 Dynamic. And what I mean by that is cable management. So cable management in the original O11 was okay. This one's a lot better. So what they've done now with that bracket on the back side of the case, instead of you having to undo some tiny little screw at the bottom to remove it, they've got 2 thumb screws now. It makes it a lot easier to get access back there. The way that they've also done the cable management with the brackets that hold the cables in. So I don't know if anyone's mentioned this because I haven't watched anyone else's EVO content at all because we've been busy, like I've been mentioning. The brackets that are behind that main cable raceway have hooks, so you can actually hook the cables behind it and it pulls all the cables back, which I actually thought was quite nice. Again, the reason why I did this build this way is the reality is getting accessories for this, and most cases like this, can be tricky when you're actually looking to buy a case like this, especially with stuff like the mesh front. So I have a mesh front for this, but it's the black mesh front. So when we do our full review of this later, we will be using that as part of our testing as well. The other thing I really liked about the new EVO as well was the fact that the fans and the radiator mounts are on brackets as well. So that makes it easier for me personally. Let's say I'm doing custom water cooling, I want to mount all the rads, I want to test fit some stuff. I can do that outside of the case as well as like slotting it in without having to screw everything up in the case. I mean, it sounds a bit confusing, but for someone like me who builds quite a lot, yeah, these brackets are pretty handy. But I think the bottom bracket is actually better than the top one, and the reason mainly is because the bottom one uses a thumb screw to attach it back into the case, whereas the top has 2 screws that you have to screw in from the top, which is okay. I just like using thumb screws, but there's no possible way for them to do thumb screws on the top panel because of the clearance of that top panel above it. So yeah, I think the EVO is a fairly decent refresh to the original O11 Dynamic, but I wasn't really a fan of that case to begin with because it's not really that nice to build in. This one is a fair bit nicer to build in. It does feel like a lot more thought was put into it. And I know a couple people that I've talked to, at least regarding this in Discord, have the same feelings really towards the refresh, that, you know, it is a bit nicer and that the original was a little bit overrated. And yeah, I think it was, because I built quite a few systems in the original and I don't enjoy building in that thing at all. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. If you like the music you heard here, I make all the music. It's available by clicking that join button now on YouTube. We have 51 or 53 tracks now uploaded. I'm working on the back catalog at the moment, as I mentioned in the video. That the last upload that we did was like a week ago. I've been working on all of that in the background just to get it all sorted. And you can get it on Patreon and Floatplane and all the other places that we regularly upload to. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peek, we see. Yeah.